I studied 270 pieces of my clients' content to figure out what was it that made a piece of content a banger, what made it work or bomb. Turns out there was 4 core components that every single outlier, every single one that outperformed, got more leads, more engagement, more sales, all had in common. And today, I'm gonna break it down, show you what the 4 core ingredients are, so you can make sure that your next piece of content bangs. There's nothing worse than putting in the time and the effort and the energy to create a video, an email, a carousel, a piece of content, and having nothing happen. It's super frustrating. So today we're gonna avoid that. I'll just show you the shortcuts. I wanna give you the theory. I learned it from Lego, and then I'm gonna break down 3 pieces of content, 1 video, 1 email, 1 carousel, so you can see the elements in action, so you can copy it for yourself. It's gonna be fun, pretty hands-on. Let's get into it. It takes me about 12 hours a month to create all of the content that we put out across all of the channels, email, videos, carousels, everything. And that 12 hours of work produces bangers, $80,000 a month in ticket sales to workshops, and an extra $100,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue every single month, just because I figured out the 4 core elements that make a piece of content worth creating, worth publishing, because I know it's gonna work. What I figured out though, is that they're all identical. All of the pieces are the same. The same building blocks make a great reel, a great email, or a great carousel. They're all the exact same building blocks. And the way I kind of think about it is like Lego. If you think about every piece of content as having a few key building blocks, just like this piece of Lego does, it's got 4 key pieces. Every piece of content is exactly the same. If you think about somebody's mindset, whether they're scrolling email or swiping through, short form videos, first thing we've got to do is we've got to grab their attention. We've got to get their eyeballs on your stuff. That's the first key ingredient. It's the hook. Second, we've got to deliver some value, keep them engaged in your stuff. That's the body. We call that the build. We're building to point number 3, the payoff, where we've got to give them some kind of punchline, a tool in their hand, an insight that they can walk away with. And then finally, we need to tell them where to march, point them in a direction, tell them what to do next. We've got a head, we've got a body, we've got a tool, we've got some feet. That's the anatomy of a piece of content. So what I'd love to do is just break them down piece by piece, show you real examples so you can get good at grabbing attention, building desire, landing a payoff, and telling people what to do next. If you don't have a hook, people just swipe past. You can make the best content in the world, but if nobody stops and sees it, it's all for nothing. If you get someone's attention and then let them down because you don't build value, you've lost them again. Even if you grab somebody's attention and you build value, but if you don't land one clear payoff, there's nothing that they can grab onto, nothing they can leave home with, nothing that they'll share. So we need an insight. I think the one thing that's missing from almost everybody's content is they teach a lot of stuff, but there's no clear payoff. And you'll build a great audience just by doing these things, but if you're not here to build an audience, you're here to build a business. And so we need a call to action, a call to engagement, and that's where the feet come in. So what I'd love to do is just show you how these 4 elements map to videos and carousels and emails. We'll do that over at the desk. I'll break it all down. You need the 4 ingredients and you want to put them together right. Otherwise you end up with some weird sort of Franken monster like this guy. That's all I'm saying. Let me show you how it's done. So I know I've kind of built this up, but there's 3 reasons I think this is going to really help. Number 1, it'll help you make bangers more consistently, stuff that you put in the effort and you know you're going to get a result. Second, if you do this right, you'll be able to remix a reel into a carousel, into an email. That's what I do all day long. So I can make one piece of banger content. And because the ingredients are the same, with the help of some robots, I can turn the one amazing piece of content from my head, from my heart, in my voice, into other formats super, super easily. And third, once you know the ingredients, you can assess before you hit publish, before you hit post or send or whatever, is it a banger or not? In fact, we built a little GPT called Is It a Banger? And it'll just take your content, assess it, the hook, the build, the payoff, and the invite, give you a score and tell you how to make it even better. If you want it, it's in the description below. Thanks, BangerBot. So if every piece of content is built on this little recipe, let me show you how it works so you can model it and make sure your stuff hits. Every piece of content starts with a hook. Its job is really straightforward, is to get people to stop the scroll, pay attention. Okay, it's got to interrupt. Number 2, the stack or the build. Its job is to build tension towards the payoff that we're going to land. It's a story, it's a list, or it's steps. Third, the payoff. Every piece of content wants one payoff, not 3 things. It wants to be really clear. I think about them, in basketball, there's like 3-pointers. Think about these as like 1-pointers. Every piece of content you post is a 1-pointer. It's got to make and land one key point. Fourth, the invitation. Tell their feet to move. Now that you know those 4 bits, let's have a look at how they show up across various pieces of content. I'm going to start with an email because most of my content starts email first. In an email, the hook is the subject line, the opening sentence, and in between those is the thing called the pre-header. When you're scanning your inbox, you'll often see the subject line and a little piece of preview text. That's called the pre-header. In my world, the hook is the subject line, that pre-header, and the opening sentence. That's all I've got to grab somebody's attention. In a reel, that's your opening, 3 to 5 seconds. That's all you got. It's got to count. And in a carousel, that's carousel slide number 1 and slide number 2. If you notice that on Instagram, if somebody skips your carousel, like doesn't read your carousel, it'll show it to them again a little bit later. But they'll, instead of seeing the first slide, they'll show them the second slide. You've got 2 opportunities here. One grabs their attention and one opens a curiosity loop. You want to use both of those. Next, the stack. The stack is a story, a list, like here's 3 things you need to know, or the steps. Here's the 5 steps to X. That's going to be the bulk of your email. Again, time-wise, it's the most number of seconds. In your carousel slides, it's like slides 3 to 6. And the payoff is where we need to land the point. The rule of thumb is if you took the CTA out, if you took the invitation out, every piece of content's got to stand on its own 2 feet. It's got to be standalone useful, even without the CTA. And so that's a good test, isn't it? If you send an email with a call to action, remove the call to action. Is it still useful and valuable? If it is, we've got the right give to ask ratio. And so the payoff is like one line right here. In a reel, it comes just before the invitation. In a carousel, for us, it's usually slide number 8. Had to think there for a minute. Slide number 8. Then there's the invitation. The invitation is next thing for them to do. In an email, it's either a clear CTA or it's a super signature. In a reel, it could be a call to action, like a comment word to get cool free thing, you know, a resource, details about an event, or like work with me. Or it could be a simple call to engagement, you know, follow, share, etc. And then in a carousel, it's usually the last 2 slides. One like sets up the need for the thing, and the last one is the instructions for how to follow through. So that's the anatomy of a piece of content. And if you're paying attention, you'll notice the same piece of content can be remixed into an email, a reel, or a carousel, because they're built on the same Lego bricks. Now that you get the framework, what I want to do right now is show you a sneaky hack that all the pros do. I've been spending a lot of time this year with people who have like millions of people in their audience, and here's little old me. And they all do something that I did not expect, and it's changed the way I think about creating content. If you do this, it'll make your content bang. So let me show you how to do it. So now we know that a reel is an email, is a carousel, and all the content is built on the same ingredients. Here's what the pros know that the amateurs don't. Think about the playthrough time, the amount of like seconds or minutes on each chunk of the content. The hook happens quick. It's like a few seconds. Like in a reel, it's like 3 to 5 seconds. The build is the bulk of your time. And so that's the body. The payoff is quick. It's usually like a 1-sentence bumper sticker that just like lands. And then we've got the invitation. And the invitation is, again, short. It's how we end. So the bulk is here. This is how it is consumed, but how it's created is really different. What the pros do is they spend an enormous amount of time, about 50% of the time, figuring out the hook and the CTA and then reverse engineering the content. So this is how it's consumed, but it's built like this. Most pros spend the bulk of their time figuring out the hook and the CTA and the content. If you're an expert and you know your stuff and you teach your clients this stuff all the time, this stuff is pretty easy. It's just about what's my payoff and how do I reverse engineer the content? And then we just need to spend a bunch of time on attention and invitation. So I've got poor Pirate Jane here, decapitated, sliced into little pieces. Let's do the same thing with actual content, and I'll break down how to hook, how to build, how to pay off, and how to invite. All right, let's talk hooks. The hook's job is to stop the scroll. We do that like this. The first thing it needs to do is to interrupt their pattern. Interrupt the pattern. It's got to grab their attention. So that gets them to at least glance in your direction. Like in the Matrix, the woman in the red dress, classic hook, right? Her job is to get them out of, like watching mode, focused on their stuff. So it's got to interrupt their pattern. Number 2, it's got to promise the payoff, or at least hint at the payoff. And third, it's got to open a curiosity loop. So often, this is the difference between interrupting and engaging. Interrupt is grab their attention. Engage lets them know that if they watch this, it's going to be valuable. Value can be one of 2 things. It's either like utility, this is going to be super useful for me, or entertaining, a little bit of a dopamine hit. Sometimes both. So the hook's super important, and the way it shows up across different platforms varies a little bit. So let me kind of break it down. Here we've got a short form video, like a reel for Instagram or a TikTok or whatever. We've got a carousel. We've got long form video, like a YouTube, like this, and email. In a reel, the hook is the first like 3 to 5 seconds. You don't have very long. And there's 3 kind of hooks: a visual hook, a verbal hook, and a written hook. It's really, what do they see? What do you say? And what do they notice that's going on in the background? In a carousel, it's slide number 1 and 2. This is a recent carousel. Remember I said interrupt and engage. So the first one is, here's why you're attracting brokies, with a nice little sketch of a broke dude. Hey, broke dude, thanks for hanging out. Slide number 2, you're speaking to the wrong avatar by accident. Like blowing hard on a dog whistle, people you want can't hear you, but the dogs love you, right? This is like interrupt and engage. It's like, oh, it's open a curiosity loop now. Oh, come on, I'm accidentally attracting the wrong people. I didn't know I was doing that. I don't know why, but I can relate to the problem of not having the right people respond to my stuff. In a YouTube video, it's what they call packaging. And so this is the title, the words at the bottom of the thing, the thumbnail that you clicked on to get here, and then the opening 30 seconds. That's the hook. Those 3 things decide whether somebody clicks, and the first 30 seconds decides whether they'll watch even get to the juicy bit. In an email, it's the subject line, it's the pre-header, and it's the opening sentence. I think the one thing I'd say about all of these is you can only control what happens in today's piece of content. But if you've been doing this for a little while, one of my jobs for each piece of content is to make it more likely that they consume the next piece of content. So every piece has got to be a banger. That's why we built the banger bot to help you figure out if it's a banger or not. So as we go through this process, if you take a piece of your content, whether it's a video you've shot or an email you've sent or a text post or a carousel or whatever, click the link in the description, open up the banger bot, just paste your stuff in and it's going to tell you, is your hook strong? Is your stack good? Does the payoff land? And is the CTA a natural, easy next step? Okay, so we've talked about hooks. Let's talk about the stack. This is the meat of your content piece. So the job of the hook is to grab their attention. The job of the stack is to earn their retention. Its job, you'll know you've done the stack well if they read to the bottom of the email, or they get to slide number 7, 8, 9, or they watch past the first few seconds of your thing rather than just like swipe off to somebody else. So the business outcome here is that we retain their attention. We do it a couple of different ways by proving that the thing is valuable to them. And value comes down to 2 things. It's either entertainment or it's utility, like it's actually useful. Most of us are in the kind of education space, so utility is good. I don't mind a little bit of fun here and there. That's why there's Lego in my freaking videos, man, because we're all big kids at heart. We know we're doing it right when people stay with you all the way through to the payoff. So how do we do it? Well, shout out to my mate, Hormozy. Alex, this is genius. Appreciate you heaps. There's kind of 3 simple ways to do this. 1, 2, 3. By the way, that is a great example of retain. The moment you know there's 3 steps, what do you want? You want the 3 steps, right? Or the three things. The first option is you tell a story. I love stories. People remember stories and characters much more than they remember facts and figures. I'm a 90s kid, right? And so we watched a lot of Seinfeld. If I said, hey, can you name 3 characters from Seinfeld? I go, George, Elaine, Kramer. Easy. Why? Because they're characters with some, something happened, it was emotional and kind of vivid. But if I said, hey, tell me 3 things you learned in high school, I'd be scratching my head because I don't remember that. People remember stories. So number 1, we got stories. Number 2, we've got a list. This is a list. I said, hey, there's 3 things. 1, 2, 3. The moment, if the first one's good, I want to hear number 2 and 3. It needs to be complete. And number 3, the third option is steps. I'm going to give you the 3 steps to this or the 5 steps to that. All of a sudden, unhooked and engaged. Let me show you an example of a list.
It's really easy. There's 5 emails you should send to your prospects if you want to get clients.
It's really easy. There's 5 emails you should send to your prospects. I'm like, that sounds useful. And I want to get 1, 2, 3, 4. And if it stops at 4, I'll feel a bit cheated. Retention has done its job. We've stacked the value. Bonus tip. If you promise 3 and you give them a 4th bonus tip, no one's upset about a free bonus tip. Here's the thing everybody gets wrong with the stack. They tell everything they know instead of what the prospect needs to know. And so the nice thing about a story or a list or steps is that it forces you to be concise. I'm ADHD as fuck. I love a side quest as much as the next guy, probably more. But if it doesn't help you land the payoff, it probably doesn't belong in your content. Here's the interesting thing. If you're running a short form piece of content, an email, a reel, or a carousel, you're forced to be concise. So everything I just told you is perfect for emails and carousels and reels. For a long form piece of content like this, yes, you're gonna have 3 or 5 key ideas. Like if you think about this piece of content, we've got idea number 1, content is like Lego, they're all the same. Idea number 2, 3, 4, and 5 are you need a hook, a stack, a payoff, an invitation. That's where we're going, right? So that's the step. But obviously, instead of like 10 seconds or 20 seconds per chunk, we're gonna spend a few minutes here because we've got the time. The thing that most people miss is when you transition from like point number 1 in your long form to point number 2, guess what you need to do? Rehook. So if you treat each point as a mini short form piece of content with a hook and a stack and a payoff of its own, we're gonna do really, really well. Sean, my video guy, just pointed out that rehook thing is true of carousels as well. There's an easy way to encourage people to consume the next bit, to retain them. All you need is a little arrow every now and again. So this is the point. Guess what? Swipe at the bottom just says, hey, go to the next bit. So here's how to market to each level, ... They're just like a little setup for the next chunk. So we've got their attention and hooked them. We've stacked the value with a story, a list, or steps, and we're ready to put something in their hands, something that they can take away. Every piece of content needs a payoff. One key takeaway that they can grab in their hands, a tool they can use, an insight that'll make them think differently, something that measurably makes their life better. That's the shareable piece of the content. By the way, all of the social platforms are built that sharing is like the most valuable thing you can get done. If you look at the insights on our carousels, the slide that gets the most shares is the payoff. It's the single clearest distillation of the value of the whole thing. So let's talk payoff. You can think about it like the punchline in a joke. Here's the rules. There's one payoff, not 7, not 3, not 6 good ideas, or I tell this story and there's like 5 things you can get from it. No, what's the one? Sometimes you start a piece of content, like if I'm writing an email, sometimes I'll start with the story in mind, but I'm not clear about the payoff yet. And I have to come back the next day and I review it to find, oh, that's the big idea. As soon as I found the big idea, some of the stuff that I had earlier in the email doesn't belong anymore, or the order's wrong. We engineer around the payoff. So there's one payoff at each time. A single post makes 1 point. The payoff can be an insight, and I want it clearly distilled into one sentence, like a bumper sticker. If there was a bumper sticker for this, it'd be without a payoff, there's no point. So whether it's a reel or a carousel or a long form piece of content or an email, there needs to be 1 point that you make clearly, and everything we say builds to that point. The one most important thing we do that I think we often forget is we need to make sure that the payoff is in every email. And if we took the CTA out, it has standalone value. So we just need to make sure. In our banger bot, one of the first things it checks for is, what's the point? Is it clear? Is it short? Is it memorable? It wants to be sticky like a thought grenade. So let me show you how this builds in the carousel that we've been chatting about. So we grab their attention. Here's why you're attracting brokies. Open a curiosity loop. You're speaking to the wrong avatar by accident, blah, 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 blah. Now we start the stack. Here's why. Most coaches niche horizontally. The real money comes when you niche vertically. That's interesting. What does that mean? Your market's got 4 levels. Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool. They've got different motivations. Okay, away from pain towards pleasure. Get it. Here's how you market each level. If you want to attract bleeding people, you sell safety. Okay. Sleeping people, you sell structure. If you want to attract stable people, you sell scale. And if you want to attract people who are leading, you sell speed. Here's the thing. Stable and leading clients are better, and explains why. This is the payoff. The easiest way to make more money as a coach is to upgrade your avatar. Take your existing skills and point them at a higher value prospect. That's the payoff. The moment they see this, they'll be like, huh, I'd never thought about it like that. And I kind of wish I knew how, and which sets up our CTA. This brings us to the magic point. Everything we've done so far is great for them. It's great for you brand-wise long-term, but if we want like leads and clients right now, we need to tell their feet to march. This is where the invite comes in. And here's what's important. The reason, I think it was Zig Ziglar said that weak salespeople have skinny kids. The reason so many coaches have skinny kids is because they're scared to sell. They're scared to do a call to action. And so here's the one thing that I want you to get. If you think about it like a call to action or an offer, maybe you feel great about that. Maybe you don't. I think about it like an invitation. Like if I was in your town and we were mates and I said, hey, I just got into town. You want to grab dinner tomorrow night? That's an invitation. It feels like a give because it is. Every invite I make is a give. It changes the dynamic drastically. It changes the way you feel about it, and you'll feel really clean and really good about making invitations. And it changes the dynamic at the receiving end as well. This guy's offering me an easy next step that feels good to both of us. You're never going to hear me call it the pitch or the sell or the gotcha. We're not going to call it that. It's an invitation. So there's 2 kinds of invites we can make. They're either going to be option A, a CTA, call to action. It's like the logical next step. And they're typically 1 of 3 things. They're either to get a resource like the banger bot that helps you turn your content into a banger. That's like a give. Or it could be an invite to some kind of event you run, whether it's a workshop or a webinar or another piece of content. Or it might be, hey, if this is vibed, maybe we could cook up some magic together and partner and team up and work on your stuff. That's a great CTA. It could be a CTE, call to engagement. If every piece of content has a pushy ask to it, you become seen as like a bit of an asshole, and nobody wants that. So a CTE is really simple. We're going to invite people to follow or to share. The most natural CTEs are follow for more. Like, so on YouTube, it'd be subscribe. On Instagram, it's follow. Share this with a friend who needs this. So it's like an altruistic ask. To comment your thoughts, answer a question below. When we do that, we are juicing the algo. We're making people feel good about being part of our community. And there's a natural opportunity for you to engage in the comments. Whether we have a CTA or a CTE on socials, the easiest thing to do, like, yes, you can share links, but it's easier if somebody comments a keyword and we can use automation to trigger off next steps. We got a mix of invitations. Some of them are CTE, some of them are CTA. The longer your piece of content is, the more important it is that you don't just hold your invitation to the very, very end. You notice on each of these videos, it's in the description, nice and easy to find. In an Instagram post, it's like the very top of the description. And on a long form video like this, there's usually 3 opportunities to do whatever comes next. Right at the start, when I've got your attention, partway through when I've built some value and you're like, oh, that sounds really good. And I just remind you, oh, remember, we built this thing. And at the end, which is almost where we're at right now. So in a minute, I'll invite you to get the banger bot and do one other thing in a moment. So let's summarize this for each of the platform. And then I just want to show you an example of a piece of content that does hook, stack, payoff, invite really well for email, for reels, and for carousels, just so you can see what they look like in action. In terms of your invitations on short form video, most often, if it's CTE, it's going to be follow, share, or comment. And if there's a CTA, obviously, we've all seen this trick, we get people to comment a keyword, which will trigger off some kind of automation to send the useful freebie. Carousels, exactly the same. Long form video, we just talked about, if you think about the timeline, usually there's a CTA early, mid-roll, and at the end, and then again underneath in the description. And then for email, most of my invitations on email are for a logical next step. The job of social is to get people to A, consume more content, and B, join my email list. And so a CTE makes more sense. And the job of email is to take somebody from, we're already kind of known to each other. You know me and you're getting my stuff and I know you and I've got your email address and that's the trade. The next step isn't to like comment. It's to do whatever the natural next step is. In email, it's usually more of a call to action. And so that could be click on a link to go to whatever, or ninja trick, reply with keyword to get more information about the thing. There's a great trick I learned from my friend Dean Jackson called the super signature. If you're subscribed to my emails, you'll see that often. P.S. Whenever you're ready, here's 3 ways or 4 ways, whatever it is, that I can help you grow your coaching business. And I'll just list out the logical next steps in order from like shallow end of the pool down to deep, and let's do some magic together. All right, muchacho, let's summarize. And then I'm going to show you tactical examples of emails, carousels, reels, so you know what to do. Here's what we've covered. There's 4 key parts of every piece of content. Every piece of content is the same. It's built on the same 4 Lego blocks. Once you know this, it's easy to create a banger, and it's easy to take one banger and remix it into a reel or a carousel or an email, depending on which platform comes first for you. They're all built on the same pieces, and obviously they're consumed. Most of the time it's built on the stack, but smart people spend a lot of time on the hook because that's the piece that really matters. So I've been showing you bits of a carousel this whole time through. I haven't showed you the CTA yet, so let's do that first, just to summarize, and then I'll show you reel and email. I'll also show you a YouTube video. You're watching it right now. So just kind of watch what happens. If you're going to go meta and you see how this works, you'll see a good example of this in action. I'm just going to call them out as we go. Slides 1 and 2, hook, grab attention, open curiosity loop. The stack, building the case for the stuff. In this case, it's not steps, it's a list. Here is the payoff. Easiest way to make more money as a coach is to upgrade your avatar. Call to action. So we built a custom GPT to help our clients attract higher quality prospects. It's called the Avatar Upgrader. It's epic and it's free. Comment avatar, take it for a spin. That's the CTA, reels. Can I open up one right now that promoted the workshop? So just so you know, the invitation was a workshop. Please don't comment for the workshop. It's done. Stop living in the past, man. Live in the now. So here's what it looks like. We'll just call it out. Maybe pause a few bits as we go. Say that the coaching industry is like this giant pyramid scheme, with coaches, coaching coaches, to coach coaches, to coach coaches. But I'm up here at the top and I kind of like it. The cool thing about sitting up here is I get complete visibility. Pause. That's the hook. There's a visual hook. Taki's sitting somewhere weird on a rooftop. A verbal hook. Some people say the coaching industry is like a giant pyramid scheme with coaches, coaching coaches, coaches. It's true. It's funny. It gets your attention. Curiosity loop. But I'm up here at the top and I kind of like it. The thing I noticed from up here is The cool thing about sitting up here is I get complete visibility on what hundreds of different coaches are doing. What's working, what's not, what used to work, and what's working right now. So here's what's not working anymore and what to do. Here's what's not working anymore and what to do instead. Curiosity loop, about to get to the stack. And marketing coaching had a lot of hard sell in it. In your marketing, you're doing lots of chasing, and on the calls, because we used to sell on calls, remember the bad old days, there'd be a lot of convincing. Chasing and convincing, not my idea of fun. The new way, instead of hard sell, we pre-sell. And that means instead of having to chase prospects, they chase us. Why chase what you can attract? And instead of convincing, we get to choose who we take on board. This is hard and painful, and this is what works Now, you can still do this if you like to flog yourself to death, but I don't. You've got 3 kinds of prospects. You've got cold, warm, and hot. Cold, skeptical leads, 3 warm, curious prospects, hot, primed buyers. But instead of waiting weeks or months for someone to go from warm to hot, we found if we just put them in a microwave, short video, 10, maybe 15 minutes, little VSL, we can get someone from warm to hot in just a few minutes time. This has been killer for me, killer for our clients. I think it'd be great for you. So if you want to build a VSL together with me, one that microwaves your prospects from warm to hot, just comment the word microwaved down below, just down here below my feet. Microwaved, and I'll get you all the details about the workshop. All right, did you see the elements? There's clearly visual, verbal, and written hooks going on, but you see how it follows the order. The place where I have the most fun with this, I think personally, is email. Some people think that email is dead and they're like, oh, I haven't sent an email in ages. Are you freaking kidding me? Email is my favorite medium. Just like a carousel, it's like value per minute is so high. I want to show you an email. There's hundreds. I've been writing a daily email for, I don't know, 20 months. Super, super fun. Okay, so the email subject line is plumbing problems and the world's greatest plunger. Weird, attention grabbing, pattern interrupt. Built on a story and there's a payoff. The CTA is kind of weak on this, but it's fun. And it shows the super signature that I mentioned before, which would be helpful. This is a legit story. I wrote this like 5 minutes after it happened. One of those days. First, the internet died right in the middle of a fancy podcast interview. So I called the internet dudes and they fixed it. Then my son yells from the bathroom, Dad, the sink's blocked. So I go in and the sink is like chock full, all suds and bubbles. Never fear, I reach for the plunger. And it's not just any plunger. I reach for the world's greatest plunger. And there's a photo of it. It says it delivers 1,300 cubic meters of force to clear the worst blockage. My son Jonathan thinks it's a bad idea, so I ignore him and I plunge. I plunge the hell out of it. That's when 2 things happen in this order. Number 1, the sink unblocked and things look good for half a second until number 2, the force had blasted off at rocket speed right into my nuts. Now I know exactly what 1,300 square feet of cubic meters of force really feels like. Water shot out from the hole where the tap used to be, so now my pants are soaking wet and the bathroom floor is underwater. It's legit happened. Yes, I'm typing this with soggy pants and a big stupid grin on my face. So, payoff. Just like my bathroom sink, your business has a constraint right now. Something's blocked and it's stopping things from flowing and growing. You know it, and so do I. You're going to be tempted to brute force it, to double and redouble your efforts and plunge the hell out of it. Hire a bigger team, double your ad spend, post more content, sleep less and do more. But when you brute force a constraint, the trouble just shows up somewhere else, like an explosion right in your business unmentionables. Please learn from my pain. Call in a freaking professional. If your sink is blocked, call in a plumber. If your coaching business is blocked, call me. So I could have segued straight into an offer. This was club random, like I'm just looking out for interesting stuff that happened, in this case, in real time with wet pants. And so in those cases, I use the super signature. Super easy next steps for people in 4 different places. So it just says, P.S. Whenever you're ready, here are 4 ways I can help you grow your coaching business. Number 1, get a free copy of my book. It's a roadmap for blah, blah, blah. Link to get book. 2, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You're watching it right now. And learn how to grow your coaching business. Number 3, join our clients program. If you're under 10K a month right now, I'm working with a few coaches over the next 10 weeks to help them sign clients and get to 10 grand a month without ads, funnels, or fancy tech. If you want to get some clients this month, hit reply with the word clients and I'll get you all the details. P.S. Big announcement about the clients program in a week or 2. Stay tuned. 4, work with me and my team privately. If you'd like to work directly with me and my team to take you from 6 to 7 figures, just send me a message with the word private. Tell me a bit about your business and what you'd like to work on together and I'll get you all the details. Super simple, clean, good. So now we know that every piece of content is identical. The building blocks, the Lego bricks are exactly the same. There's a head that is the hook that grabs their attention. There's the body that stacks the value and gets people leaning in ready for the payoff. It could be a story, could be list, could be steps. In this case, the plunger was clearly a story. Then there's the payoff. It needs to have clear standalone value in a bumper sticker size, takeaway, 1 insight, 1 shift that makes the whole thing worth consuming. And then a CTA, an invitation to do whatever comes next. There's nothing worse than putting effort and time and energy into creating a piece of content that just doesn't hit. That's why we built the Banger Bot. Its job is to look at your stuff and tell you, where's it hitting? Where's it missing? It'll tell you instantly, is it hot or not? Links in the description below. So this content bit is just like one piece of the system that helps us grow $1 million coaching businesses every single week. Literally once a week, somebody hits $1 million. Kind of amazing. And they do it. Content's a piece of it, but there's a whole system and a plan behind it. If you want to see how that works and what real coaches just like you are doing, how they take our frameworks and implement them, show you a video about that too. It's called the $1 Million Plan. Links in the description below. Click it if you want to see what it really takes to take your coaching business up an extra 20 or 30 or 50 grand a month to $1 million a year and beyond. I'll show you the quickest way. Thanks for watching. It's been fun. I'll talk to you soon.